tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. People talk about enlightenment as being the goal of the path. It's worth thinking about what that means. The first thing to say is that the English word enlightenment is a kind of a oddity. It's an odd choice because it doesn't really directly translate anything from the Pali. Although there is an association with light as the mind being luminous, there's one of the characteristics of the enlightened mind is that a loco, the light opens, but it's generally not used as the name of the experience. The two most common words that are used to express it in the Pali are vimutti and bodhi. Vimutti means liberation. It literally means the breaking of chains or fetters. Vi is prefix meaning to cut or to sever, and mutti are chains or bonds. So this implies that before the experience of vimutti or enlightenment, we are in bondage. We are not free. Before the mind is liberated, it remains in bondage to the desires, to the fears, basically to the world of a sensory experience. It's fettered by pain and pleasure. One of the common sequences that's talked about in terms of mental states leading up to enlightenment is Nibbida Viraga Vimutti, or Nibbida Viraga Nirodha Vimutti. Nibbida is the sense of disillusion or disenchantment. It's a sense of enough of this. The Buddha uses the Pali word alang, which is like, it's a bit stronger than the English enough. It's like, I've had enough, that's it. He talks about the cycle of rebirth. He says that there's a series of suttas, short suttas in the Samyutta Nikaya where he talks about all the length of time we've spent wandering in samsara, and he uses some very strong images. If you could pile up all the skulls you've left behind, it would be a mountain the size of the Himalayas. If you could gather together all the blood you've shed, it would be greater than the great ocean. And at the end of each of these metaphors, and there's about a half a dozen of them, all of that same kind of spirit, at the end of each one he says, alang, alang. You should think, alang, enough. How long am I going to keep filling the cemeteries? So nibbida is when that sense of disillusion, disenchantment with the process of samsara. And that leads to viraga, which is dispassion. Passion or raga is kind of the energy, the motive power that drives the motor of samsara. It's like the electricity that drives the motor, the passion for existence, the passion for sense experience. And once you really felt alang enough, then the passion goes away. There's no more engine to the motor. But as you can see, if you have you're driving your car, and if you were to take your foot off the gas, or put it in neutral, it would continue to go forward for some time. If you don't hit the brake, it'll peter out, it'll run out. That's what happens with the samsaric process. Once you stop feeding it, it still continues for some time running down, kind of inertia. And the final ending of the process is nirodha. That's when the samsaric process ends. That means cessation. The process terminates, it's over, it ceases. It's also one of the meanings of nibbana or nirvana is blowing out. It's the literal meaning, is blowing out of the process. So the word nibbana comes from a verb, nibbeti, which means to snuff out or to blow out. So if you were to use that, and nibbana is a past participle, if you were to use that word in a mundane manner, like a non-technical, non-Buddhist manner, just conversational, Pali. If we leave this room and I want to make sure the candles are out, so I ask somebody, are the candles out? Someone might say, yes, they are nibbana. They are snuffed out. And then vimutti is like the result of that. Vimutti is liberation. The mind is liberated. It's no longer bound to the process. It's free. Another word that's used is bodhi, which literally means awakened. So the word Buddha, the title of it comes from that same root. The Buddha is the awakened one who is awakened. So this implies that before enlightenment, we're all partially asleep, more or less asleep. We're delusional, like we're dreaming. We're not experiencing things in a fully clear, awake manner. Wakefulness is really the kind of guiding principle of practice, to try and become more awake. This is what mindfulness is, sati. It's developing this remembering to be present. When you remember to be present, then you're fully awake. Otherwise, if you don't have sati, you're kind of sleepwalking. You can go through the motions of life, but you're not really fully experiencing anything. You're half asleep. You're just kind of sleepwalking. Kind of a robotic existence. And we can have, prior to the moment of actual enlightenment, we can have small moments of bodhi. We have them all the time. One Ajahn Sumedho talks about a fair bit is, if you're meditating and your mind is wandered, you're drifting, you're daydreaming, you're just lost, and then you suddenly remember, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be paying attention here. You come back to your practice. Don't become upset with yourself because you've drifted off. nice that you've awakened to the reality. And this is a small moment of bodhi. Ah, yeah, right. Here I am. In the Zen tradition, they talk about little satori and big satori. Big satori is what we would call actual enlightenment, but little satori are experiences along the way where you have a real experience of clarity. The light bulb goes on, the clouds part. Oh yeah, right. That's how it is. And those are quite valuable. You should recognize them when they occur and cherish them. Speaking about Zen tradition, there's also a long-standing controversy between the different schools of Zen based on what they call gradual enlightenment and sudden enlightenment. And I think in the Pali tradition, in Theravada Buddhism, it's kind of like both. Because like many things in life, many processes, it's little by little and then all at once. Little by little, then all at once. Somebody made an analogy. I forget who came up with this. It's like a modern person come up with this analogy. It's like you've got a dam holding back water, and you're digging into it with a shovel. And every single shovelful is the same, takes the same effort, there's the same amount of dirt. But it's only the last one that has the result. The water comes rushing through. The Buddhists compared the process to the deep ocean. He said if you walk out into the deep ocean, you're walking from the shore, it slopes down gradually, the water comes up your body gradually. But there is some point. You've taken one more step and you're underwater. So there is a definite moment. There's a definite change. In the Abhidhamma, they talk about it's another term or set of terms that are used. They talk about it as Magga Phala. Magga is path and Phala is fruit. And in Abhidhamma texts, whenever they talk about what we call enlightenment or the enlightenment moment, is referred to as Magga Phala. Because it does occur in a kind of 1-2 process. Magga, the path, is the last comically effective moment in the series. And it's called path because at that moment the 8 path factors, the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path, they come together in perfection and at a supramundane level, a lokuttara level, supramundane or transcendental level, meaning they're all aligned to nibbana, they're aligned to the unconditioned. So the view, the speech, in this case meaning Vitakka Vichara, the thoughts, all the 8 path factors take nibbana as their object. They align to nibbana. And this then brings forth the fruit moment, the phala. phala in the mundane sense just means a fruit, like an apple or a mango, but here's the fruit or the result. And it's a resultant, a kamically resultant moment. The result of the kama made by path moment. And one, having had all the 8 path factors aligned to nibbana, then one enters nibbana, or experiences nibbana. And that causes a fundamental change in the depth of the person. It's like a turning around, a realignment, turning 180 degrees in the depth. And once having glimpsed nibbana, that person is never goes back from that. It makes a permanent change. And we call that first encounter with the unconditioned, we call that the sotapanna, or stream entry. And that could be just a glimpse. It's like the curtains part for just a moment, and the person knows, there is an unconditioned. But it's not yet fully understood. There's still work to do. There's 3 more stages of enlightenment, and the final one is arahant, in which there's a total penetration, a total immersion into the unconditioned. And the person is perfected. No defilements remain, no shadow in the psyche remains. It's a complete purification. Prior to the experience of stream entry, one cannot really know or imagine what is the unconditioned, what is the experience. But one can approach closer and closer to it to make the final leap shorter and easier. It's like a mathematical asymptote, if you know what that is. If you graph an equation, like let's say a real simple one would be, say, y equals 1 over x. The x, the line of the graph will get closer and closer to the 0 axis, but it never reaches it. If y equals 2, then x, or if x equals 2, then y equals 1/2. If x equals 1,000, y equals 1 over 1,000. And no matter how big you make x, y gets smaller and smaller, infinitesimally small, but it never reaches 0. And that's like approaching an understanding of emptiness and of the unconditioned before making that final immersion. We try and do that primarily by clear seeing. That's the meaning of vipassana, is clear seeing. And we talk about and think about vipassana as a meditation, and that's not really wrong. There are meditation methods we call vipassana. There's more than one. But vipassana is actually a state of mind that the meditation is trying to access. It's a state of mind of clear seeing, meaning that the process of samsara is seen without a filter. The mind is knowing each subsequent moment, it's knowing the object of consciousness clearly. And that's difficult to do. It's a challenging practice, It's difficult because we're caught all the time by the objects. We get lost in them. Objects can arise that have some emotional resonance, old memories or fears, and then the mind gets kind of lost, caught. And these are the kind of the two things that the enemies of clear seeing are fear and fascination. We're either afraid of something and we recoil from it, or we're fascinated by it and we go into it. Whereas the clear seeing is just objectively observing the phenomena as they arise without taking ownership of it, without being moved by it. In the sequence of mental states that I mentioned earlier, in Nibbida, Viraga, Nirodha, Vimutti, the one before that sequence is Yatabhuta Nanadasana, the knowledge and vision of things as they are, which means seeing things according to reality. So when we see things according to reality as they actually are, that leads to that feeling of enough. What's the point of this? Now, samsara is endlessly catching us. The process of samsara, which means wandering in circles, basically. It's constantly caught in it, and it's by being caught in samsara that we don't see nibbana. Samsara is, in a sense, it's not a place or a thing. It's something we do. It's an action we do. We choose moment by moment to engage in samsara, and we're caught in that process. And it takes a lot of unraveling to get out of that. Other ways that the Buddha speaks about the enlightened mind, not so much the process, or the moment, but the actual experience of the enlightened mind. He commonly uses the analogy of little different forms of clear water. He says it's like a man looking into a pool filled with crystal clear water. And there's no obstruction to his vision. He can see the pebbles at the bottom. He can see fish going to and fro. And the mind is that clear. It's not obstructing anything. There's no obstruction. It's one of the commonly used characteristics of the enlightened mind used in Huayan Buddhism is non-obstruction. There's no blockage, no obstruction. In Tibetan Buddhism, they talk about the clear blue sky. The clouds are the obstructions, they're the defilements. And even on a cloudy day, the blue sky is still present, but we don't see it because it's hidden by the clouds. It's like our enlightened mind is intrinsic to us. It's natural to us. It's not something beyond, from out there. But we don't see it because it's hidden by the defilements. So there's another Zen saying is, all beings are Buddhas from beginningless time. The implication there is, you're already a Buddha, but you don't know it. The Buddha didn't talk a lot about nibbana, or the unconditioned, or the enlightened mind, for the very reason that the actual essence of it cannot be expressed in words. And his teaching was always practical, oriented to getting people to that point. And endless descriptions would just be misleading, because the words are always a bit off. But one of the most deepest expositions that he gives is a verse that occurs in a couple of places, one in the Digha Nikaya, one in the Majjhima Nikaya, where he describes the liberated mind in verse. And the verse is rather cryptic, and it's you see the different translators, Bodhi and Walsh. The footnotes to their translations are long, trying to justify their choice of words. It is a bit obscure, but the most likely meaning is one of the characteristics is pabasara, which the straightforward meaning of that is luminous or brilliant. Again, the allusion to light. That the enlightened mind is brilliant. As is saying in the Anguttara Nikaya that the chitta is inherently luminous. There the word used is abhasara. The chitta is inherently luminous, meaning consciousness is inherently bright. So the enlightened mind, that brightness is non-obstructed. Another epithet in that verse is boundless, anantara, without boundary. Well, there's no limit to it. This is, again, vimutti, liberated. The mind is not bound by conditions. So it's boundless. It's not confined or defined. It's unlimited. And the third characteristic is the one that's the most difficult to translate, but a literal meaning would be it finds no footing, meaning it has no basis. It's not dependent on anything. And this reminds us of one of the common words used for nibbana is asankata, the unconditioned. And samsara is sankata, conditioned. It's one of the principles of Buddhist philosophy is that everything in the samsaric world is conditioned, meaning it arises from causes and not randomly, not otherwise. Things only arise due to causes and conditions. But nibbana is without cause or condition. It's unconditioned. It just is as it is. If we could use even that's misleading. To say is implies a kind of existence. And it's beyond existence or non-existence. So to kind of leave you with the main practical point, the speculating about what enlightenment is before one experiences it is not very useful. You're never going to get it right in your imagination. It's always somehow more and somehow less than what you imagined. But you can approach it step by step with clear seeing and with non-attachment, with renunciation, with letting go. And that's the process for realizing that that liberation, that awakening, the path and the food.
Dhammakaya sadhukaram Dhammasedi